the flop. Look at that. What's up? If you are new, I'm Nala. So nice to meet you. How you doing? For today's video, it is going to be a reading vlog. No particular theme or anything. It's just like a lifestyle type vlog. A little bit of reading, a little bit of momhood. I have a few books that are on the radar for this week, and a couple of them I have here with me. Half a Soul and Circe. Half a Soul is about this girl, this 19-year-old girl. Her name is Dora. She has had half of her soul taken from her by a fairy due to a debt. With having half of her soul taken, she has her emotions very dulled. She does not feel things like fear, embarrassment, love, or happiness. It is set in the Regency time period. Her and her cousin Vanessa are set out to London to join society and try and find husbands. More so Vanessa than Dora, but Dora is kind of just there as the emotional supports until she comes face to face with our main male character, Elias Wilder. He comes to find out about her condition, and so they try and fix her soul. Very excited for that. This has been like one of my most anticipated books of the year. I have had this on my holds at the library for months, but I've never been able to obtain a copy. So very excited about that. And people say that it has very Pride and Prejudice, Howl's Moving Castle vibes, and so this is just perfect. The second book that we have for this week is Circe, and it is a Greek mythological retelling, reimagining sort. It is about Circe. Obviously, whenever she is born, she is not really of anything substantial or special in their eyes. She is not powerful like her father Helios, and she is not alluring like her mother per se. She is really just seems very unextraordinary, and so the gods look down upon her. That is until she comes to find that she has witchcraft. She has the capability to turn her rivals into monsters and menace the gods themselves. And Zeus, being threatened by this, casts her out and exiles her to a deserted island, and there she finds solace with the mortals there. And we come upon very famous figures in mythology like Icarus and the Minotaur, and she hones in on her occult practice and really draws in the wrath of both men and gods. It is a very feministic quality style book. It has the witchcraft, it has the mythology, and feminism. Is just all, I'm like 76 pages in so far. I have seen a multitude of quotes online on Pinterest of quotes from this book, and they are just so poetic. The prose is just so beautiful and lyrical. Obviously it is mythology. At first was having a little bit of a hard time because so many figureheads of the Olympians and the Titans and just everybody she was mentioning, there's a lot of names dropped in this, so it's kind of hard trying to keep up with that a little bit. But I believe that now, having been in about 80 pages, that it is getting a little bit easier. And although she is hundreds of years old at this point, she still has a very naive mentality whenever it comes to people and magic, and she is extremely trusting of new people that she meets. So it'll be interesting to see how she turns into this very powerful and occultic woman who bows to no man. I'm very interested to see how that goes. I don't have a vlog from last week. I did film like little snippets, however I didn't get like enough b-roll footage or just footage in general of me talking or anything, and the vlog felt very awkward, and so I just ended up scrapping that. So I'm just not doing a vlog for last week. Let's see, what did I read last week? I finished The Queen of Nothing last week, and all I can really say is that I just loved how the trilogy was wrapped up. It wrapped up very nicely with a little bow on it, but still leaves some space for stories ahead. I was very happy with it overall. And then I ended up reading A Dowry of Blood. And this, I have very conflicted feelings, because a lot of people have sung such high praises for this online. And people have said, oh, this is one of those books that alters your brain chemistry. And it is very lyrically beautiful. The prose is very just poetic, and the imagery in it is very dark and hauntingly beautiful, which I did really enjoy that. As I was like beginning the book and reading it, there was so much just beauty. I did a lot of annotations in here. The very beginning of the book, almost every single page I was annotating. And then you can see where I dropped off right here. Like, this was the last thing I dropped off because I started listening to it on audiobook because I just had some stuff to do and I didn't want to put this down. And maybe that's where I messed up, was because this is one of those books where you truly have to like read it with your eyes in order to appreciate the beautiful style of writing. This book is an open letter of one of the brides of Dracula. Her name is Constanza, and she is writing this letter to him after the event of the span of the time that they spent together and after she has unalived him. It's not a spoiler. Literally, it's like the prologue. She says, "This is my last love letter to you. Though some would call it a confession, it was never my intention to unalive you. Not in the beginning anyway." So this whole book is just an open letter of her, from her creation and being taken in as a bride of him. And I think it's very powerful. She at one point talks about why she's not using his name at all. Not a single time is his name mentioned in the book. It says, "You did not let me keep my name, so I will strip you of yours." And so I thought that was very powerful, and taking that well-known name away from him is just a boss move. And I felt that it fell really flat for me overall, because the whole, not that there could be a large plot or a very intense plot, but the whole time it was just a very repetitive synopsis, repetitive events where he turns someone into a vampire, they have their honeymoon phase, everything's sweet, and then they get bored and they sire someone else, and then it's very sweet, and then they have like their honeymoon, they get bored, they sire someone else. So it just felt very, I don't know, flat. That's the only way that I could say it. The way that the emotional abuse is shown is very realistic. Forced solitude and being cut off from any other living being. I think Constanza said she went almost 200 years with not having connections with anybody from the outside world. She was confined alone in this castle. Meanwhile, he was free to go out and do whatever he wanted. So she ends up unearthing some really dark secrets and shares them with her sister wives, sister husbands, whatever you want to call them. The thing that like really just kind of gave me an ick is that Dracula called them, he would say like, "Oh, go with your sister," or "Go with your brother." Meanwhile, they were like they called each other sisters, and they called each other brother, sister, siblings. They called each other siblings, and they had relations with each other. So there, at one point, Constanza talks about how she views Alexei as her son, and then like 2 chapters later, she is having relations with him. So that really gave me the ick, and I was not down for that. I felt very yucky at that point, but did this change my life? No, not really. Would I read it again? Probably not. Was it a dark, hauntingly beautiful read? Yes. Do I regret reading it? No, but it's nothing really special per se. Yeah, that's what I read last week. I should probably get up and do a little bit of cleaning. I'm gonna try and find an audiobook that I can listen to. I'm currently listening to The X-Hex and The Song of the Marks, and neither one of those is really doing it for me, and I fear that if I continue to push myself to listen to those, that it could possibly put me in a slump. So I'm gonna try and find something else maybe while I do some cleaning around the house. Although like the X-Hex, it's cute, I'm just in a very fantasy kind of mood, so it's not really doing that for me. And then The Song of the Marked, I'm just getting really irritated by the main character. She's very vicious and catty, but like for no reason. Literally, she's just being mean to people that are trying to help. She truly just does not know when to shut up, and it's really bothering me. Just has like this chip on her shoulder that so badly needs to be knocked off. And let me look around and let me see. I use Hoopla for my audiobooks. It's through my public library, so I can download, I think it's 10 titles a month of audiobooks or like any type of book, and it's free too. Like this is through the public library, so you don't have to pay anything. So we have, I'm kind of in a fantasy mood. Well, I am in a fantasy mood. There's a River Enchanted. They have Howl's Moving Castle. Nettle and Bone, which is T. Kingfisher. Maybe we can listen to Nettle and Bone. I hear that somebody on YouTube that I watched just finished reading Nettle and Bone. Oh, or I could do Caraval. Maybe I'll do Caraval because I want to get to the Ever After series. Is that what it's called? With Once Upon a Broken Heart, The Ballad of Never After. Yeah, maybe I'll start Caraval. I think that could be fun. Yeah, that's what I'll do. We're gonna listen to Caraval. 10 hours. Gonna listen to Caraval while I do some cleaning. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. I got a couple of book mails. It's always a good day whenever we get book mail. The Hero of Ages. Ah! Oh my gosh, yes! Finally, I have all 3 now. It is the Fantasy Fiction Formula. So it's NaNoWriMo this month, and so I am trying to buckle down on my writing to get the ball rolling on my novel. And this is a highly recommended book whenever writing fantasy. This one, and then I have Save the Cat writes a novel. I have that one that's gonna be like a hold from the library. This one the library didn't have available, so that's why I bought it secondhand. So I have this copy of Hero of Ages, which I might just give to my brother because I thrifted it for like $1. Hero of Ages, yes. Completed trilogy, what? I reorganized my shelves just a little bit. So I've got like some fantasy stuff over here. Typically Half a Soul would sit right there. Brandon Sanderson. This is my Sarah J. Maas shelf, my classics. And so I have some more fantasy down here. Those are like my nostalgics, childhood nostalgics, some more fantasy, mostly fantasy. I've got like this Anne of Green Gables book set. These are like my smutty books, the ones that are just like straight smut. My poetry and my occult books. So we've got really like this one. This one was really good. One of my favorite books, I would say, from the occult. I like this one. This one I did like what is that called? A Kickstarter. And so this was my copy from that Kickstarter. Very just pretty. Very, very gorgeous. I have a few of my tarot cards here. I've got more in the back. Yes, and then I've got this tarot set, which is my favorite. So gorgeous. And my shelves are like all out of whack right now. We've got Twilight, some Leigh Bardugo, my UK edition of Foxglove, Harry Potter. There's like a little bit of a rhyme and reason with the shelves in my mind. But there's like some books that I have that I just know that I'm never gonna read, and so I might just put those up on Pango Books or something. We'll see. Hold on. Good? Good, okay. I just wanted to give a little bit of a reading update before the end of the night. It's like 7 o'clock, but that's usually like chaos hour around here. Putting the kids down for bed and all that. And I am 3 hours into Caraval, which is, let's see, that is 30% of the book. It's roughly a 10-hour book, so I'm 30% of the way in. And so far, I'm having a lot of fun with it. Both the narrator and just the style of writing and the plot and the characters and the intrigue of and the mystery of what the games entail is all very much so holding my attention very well. Which is very relieving because, to be honest, I thought it was starting to be me not enjoying audiobooks in general, because the last 4 audiobooks that I've listened to I just didn't vibe with. So I was starting to think, like, is it me? Am I the problem? I'm really glad that I'm actually enjoying it, and it's so far so good. I'm actually enjoying it so much now. I don't know if I want to spend like the next little bit of time listening to that or reading Circe, because I'm enjoying both of the reads so well. I'll definitely, I think, have these both finished by the end of the week. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and jump back into listening to that some more, because I have like a mountain of laundry to take care of. So yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna check back in before the end of the night. So if I don't, I'll see you in the morning for more chats about what I read after bed. A decaf. Hello, hi, good morning. So I finished reading Caraval. I actually thoroughly enjoyed the book. I didn't give it a super high rating. At first I think I gave it a 4 stars. And then I went onto the reviews. This is what I always do. I go onto the reviews and then I go and I look at the 1-star reviews just for shits and giggles, and then they make so many good points where I'm like, wow, yeah, you know, that's not wrong at all. And I'll usually like dock it a star on Goodreads. But I really thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a very unique plot that I've never read anything like that before, and it had the magic and stuff. It did get a little bit confusing at one point, and I felt that a lot of the descriptive settings could have been better, because I felt that the setting, the area, the Caraval itself was really hard to picture in my head. Yes, it was vibrant and magical, but there just wasn't enough description for me to get a full picture in my head. Like, I was hooked from the get-go. I don't know what it was, but I felt very intrigued with it. Within literally like the first chapter, I just wanted more. I've actually started listening to Legendary already. I started that last night while I was cooking dinner, and I'm about, I think, 2 hours in or so, and so I'm very excited to see what kind of turn the story takes. Yeah, I haven't read any more on Circe because I have been reading a different book. It's not like a normal fantasy book or anything. It's actually like a workbook. It's not a workbook, but it's, oh, I don't know how to explain it. It's the fantasy fiction formula book that you guys saw me unbox. And it's basically, it's a book to kind of help you figure out everything that there is to writing a fantasy book. And I'm really enjoying it so far. She does a very good job of giving you enough information without it seeming like info dumping. So I've been enjoying reading this. I am annotating it like wild. You can see so much annotation is going to go into this. It's helping me kind of get through my process of writing, thinking about writing my work in progress for NaNoWriMo, because I've made it a goal of being a published author before I turn 30. So I've got a year to do it, and I think that I really can. We are gonna go to the library a little bit later today, probably here in about an hour. I've got a hold that is ready to be picked up, and I think it is Hurricane Wars. I have a backlog of a bunch of books that I need to take pictures of because I genuinely love taking pictures of books. I've just like not been in a very aesthetic creative mood. I find that that happens a lot whenever my house gets really messy and I just don't feel like my home is aesthetic. Today's Friday, so it's almost the weekend. Not really that that means much to me. Yeah, it's a weekend. Except for that my husband has the day off tomorrow, so typically not a lot of reading gets done on Saturdays because I just like spending time with him. But yeah, you wanna go to the library with us? Yes. Yes. Sounds like a good idea. We just got out of the library, and as per usual, I get way more books than I was anticipating. Not that I'm gonna read all of these, but I do have reasonings. These 3 alone, I just want them so I can take pictures for my Bookstagram. So we all know, The Prison Healer, how I feel about that. But I'm currently reading Legendary through audiobook, so I wanted to have that. And then I plan on listening to Finale next, so I did want to have that on hand as well. They didn't have Caraval, which is okay. I'll put it on hold so that I can take a picture with it. And then I went over to the YA section and I found Demon in the Wood, which I've seen all over my page. I didn't realize that it was Shadow and Bone in the world of Shadow and Bone. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to understand everything that is in there. So we'll see. And then I also picked up Lore Olympus Volume 1. I've read these on Webtoons. However, I've never read it in like physical form, and I just feel like it's going to be a totally kind of different experience reading it that way. So I also picked that up. And then as for the book that I actually had on hold, I had Hurricane Wars on hold. So it is like a Raylo inspired story, and so I just feel like it's going to be really good. I've heard a lot about it. I might take it with me on our road trip. I'm not entirely sure. But those are the books that I picked up. Not too many, seeing as I'm not going to be reading half of them, but I feel like it was a good haul.
Okay. Daphne. Astrid Blue.
I got some book mail, and these are two just... I'm so excited. The first one is they're actually both Brandon Sanderson, but the first one is Words of Radiance, which is the second book in the Stormlight Archive. Yeah, I haven't started the Stormlight Archive series, but I am trying to get the collection up so that whenever I get through it, I could just boom, bam, bang, just kind of, I don't know, I don't need to have an excuse as to why I have it. I have it. The Stormlight Archive is one of those series, it's one of the only series that I've seen have beautiful colored end papers and a paperback. I mean, look at that. This is the front end papers, and then the back is the map, and in color too, and a paperback is just like really not common. And then there's also art inside as well. And can we just talk about the flop. Look at that. With it being such a thick, huge book, we have to have this floppiness. And I mean, look, anywhere you really, anywhere that you're gonna open it, it just stays open. How amazing is that? I read Tress of the Emerald Sea earlier this year, and it is by far one of like my top 3 favorite reads of the year. And I have just been salivating over the green hardback, like the special edition-y kind of one, like you can buy straight from the Dragonsteel website. But I don't have $70 to $80 to spend on one singular book, as much as I would love to. So I saw this little gem. I just had to pick it up, okay? It is Tress of the Emerald Sea, but it is the Spanish edition. So it's Trenza de Mar Esmeralda. And it looks just like the secret novel copy from Dragonsteel. It's got the gold, and it's kind of got the raisedness to it. And then as well as the inside edge papers, and it also has all of the special art. It has all the special art inside. About every 50 pages there is like a new art piece. And it's so just gorgeous and stunning. And I speak Spanish, so I can totally read this. But also I was hoping that if I were to pick this up, maybe my husband would be interested in reading it. He's not a big fantasy guy, but maybe one time I can convince him to read a book that I really like. He's more of like a self-help book kind of guy. Meanwhile, I love the fantasy and fiction and romances. So it's just so stunning, and for like 20 bucks I think is what I paid for it. I just used a gift card that I had for my birthday, and I'm so excited to have this in my hands right now.
You gotta be gentle with yourself. Gentle with yourself, sweet girl. We have a sleeping kitty back here too.
I genuinely cannot remember if I talked about this book or not, but I did finish Legendary. I ended up feeling the same about this book as I did Caraval. Unique in the plot. I've never read anything like it, which I think that's why it's so fun to me. A lot of people say that this is like a night circus wannabe type book, and I honestly don't know. This is the only thing that I have read similar to this, so it's the only thing that stands in my mind. But I never like at any point was like gripped and like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen next. It was a fun read, and I would rate it somewhere in between like a 3 and a 4. I feel like a 3 is pretty average. It doesn't mean that it's a bad book necessarily, but it's definitely in my mind doesn't deserve a 4 just because it didn't grip my attention too much. It was a very good audiobook to just kind of do what I needed to do around the house and kind of just mindlessly do my tasks while I was reading. I'm still going to continue because I do like the series enough to where I want to continue with it. So I will be reading Finale next through audiobook again, because this is just a really great audiobook series. Gripping enough in a way where it can hold my attention and do what it needs to do. The twist at the end was very predictable, so it's not anything that really surprised me. I liked that this book focused on Donatella. She is a little bit more Spitfire and has a little bit more oomph to her than Scarlet, but it's nothing that has wowed me. So that's where I'm at with that. I ended up not finishing Cersei this week. I ended up being in the ER for like 7 hours yesterday. Due to some like really super severe chest pain, and so I was in so much excruciating pain that I even brought my Kindle with me, but reading a book just was unfathomable to me, and so I'm a little bit behind now, which is fine. I finished 3 books this week. I also finished Half a Soul this week, which I rated it 5 stars. Whenever I know a book is, I say I'm trying to stray away from my star rating system, but I have no problem saying whenever a book is 5 stars. This is 5 stars. I really enjoyed this. It was whimsical and cozy, and it wasn't just, it's not one of those books that have like a crazy plot or anything. It was a very cozy type fantasy, and there were some stakes to it, but it didn't feel like the stakes were super duper high, because you know, it's like a life or death situation, but not like the world's going to end type of thing, you know. I see so much of why people say that he is like Howl from Howl's Moving Castle, and he's very similar to Howl in the book form, I would say, rather than the movies, because in the movies we get to see a little bit of like that childish side of him, but he mostly is really cool. There is a lot of banter between them, and I love the wittiness of Dora. She is so quick on her feet with the things that she says, the words that she is, her little comebacks, they're so good and just witty. And it's been a minute since I've actually had a book really make me giggle and hee hee ha ha over like some of the stuff that she said. Like there's this, in the very beginning, there's this one scene where they're talking to this very established man who is trying to court her cousin, and it's supposed to be like a serious conversation, but she literally is trying to ask this guy, like, if a horse and a dolphin bred, like, how do you think that would look? And he is just completely baffled by this question. He's like, that is such a ridiculous question, why would you even ask that? And there's so many cute parts that I highlighted. I did not come here only to dance. I came here only to dance with you. And I wrote like kicking my feet. It's so cute. Very thoroughly enjoyed that. That is where I'm gonna leave off this video. I hope that you enjoyed. Hopefully I got enough footage, because I just really fell off after having to go to the ER. I think that the next video I might try and do a 24-hour readathon, my first ever 24-hour readathon. So I think that'll be really fun if you want to join me for that. I hope that you have a beautiful day, and of course, stay excellent.